Welcome into the Irish NFL show here in Radio Row, San Francisco. I'm delighted to be joined by who I think I can now consider here a close friend, Bryant McFadden. How are you, Bryant?
I'm doing good, but I'm trying to figure out how can I get a hoodie?
Oh, you got to put in your order. Absolutely. We can make that happen.
Get a hoodie. I like that hoodie.
We need to get a good plug from you on CBS.
That's a nice drip right there. I like it.
We've got some GA jerseys as well. If you hang around, we might hook you up with something during the week.
That's what's up.
Bryant, how has the week been for you so far? What's your schedule like this week?
Oh man, just getting going. It's been amazing. Anytime I get a chance to be in this atmosphere, it's always a blessing. It will ramp up as we get closer to Sunday. But yeah, my day today has been pretty busy, and continuing to do some other things and meet people, talk to people, get ready for the game. So I can't complain. I enjoy it.
You've been here as a member of the media, and you're in that capacity this week. But you've been here as a player as well multiple times, and we talked about this earlier in the season in Dublin. This week, it's such a circus, and we're so thankful to be a small part of this. And we don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, but it must be a huge distraction for players having to go through all of this. How different is the preparation for a Super Bowl compared to a regular season game? And how do the players cope with the different atmosphere, being pulled left and right, having to do this obligation, that obligation? I mean, we were just out in San Jose earlier on today. We were walking through a room full of players who obviously just want to get on. I'm sure they can't wait for Sunday to arrive and be done with the likes of us. How do you cope with that as a player?
Well, you just got to be patient because there's a 2-week layoff, between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. So, this is the second week as they prepare and understanding and knowing that you're here for a reason. We're here to highly, engage into what we will see, right? Talk about it, get people fired up about it. They're here to play. And they have to understand that's the most important thing. The great thing about these situations for the teams, they're not in the midst of all the chaos. Usually the teams are in hotels that are not close to the entertainment, the chaos, and that kind of keeps you focused because you're not in the midst of all the extracurricular activities that's tied to the game.
Absolutely. I spoke to Seahawks safety Julian Love earlier on today. I asked him about, balancing between embracing the Legion of Boom and trying to establish their own identity as a dominant defense. I know we've already heard some nicknames floating around the dark side and I think it's the MOB as well. I think that a few nicknames have been floated about. I mean, he was really good in embracing the history that comes with it, with being a Seahawk and being part of that Legion of Boom culture. But very adamant that they want to establish their own identity. Yeah. You, to a certain extent, you went through that as well, because when you played with the Steelers, you guys were still trying to shake off, the steel curtain, or move on from the steel curtain. And having said that, the ghosts of the steel curtain, or the legends, were still roaming about the halls, and the Steelers fans were looking for the next generation to emerge. How did you strike that balance between embracing that history but saying, okay, we're here now, this is our time?
You have to embrace the history and recognize their success is what paved to the resemblance of what people seeing from your success. But also, too, your job is to make new history.
Yeah.
For us, we knew we could never be the steel curtain, but we wanted to reach the level of success they were able to reach, which was be dominant, but also to win a championship game. Because the defenses that I were a part of that were high-level defenses, we were really, really good. But if we didn't win championships those said seasons, no one would remember us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now for Seattle, the job they've done on the defense with their success, now you're trying to create a new nickname that embodies this style of play. That's important, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't win it all.
Absolutely.
Right? So if you want to become a legendary defensive unit or be in those discussions, you have to be dominant in the regular season, but most importantly, you got to be dominant en route to winning a championship.
We spoke about Nick Emenwari. I asked Mike McDonald a question about Nick Emenwari and his maturity off the field. Yeah. We referenced the Reek Woolen incident in the NFC Championship game, and Nick Emenwari seemed to be trying to shake some sense into him. How impressed have you been with the likes of him? And I remember you speaking about the importance of legends like Jerome Bettis back in the day, embracing the rookies, embracing the young players, and allowing you guys to be a part of the culture and allowing you to have a voice. How important is it to create that kind of culture where it's not really a tiered system? There's not necessarily a hierarchy. If you're doing it on the pitch, you're more than welcome to do it off the field as well.
You have to embrace it. And I was really, excited to see Nick, address what Tariq Woolen did in a very, very mature way, because he understood that put them in harm's way. Just the emotional mishap of having that personal foul in a play where you got the third down stop. Now you gave them extra possessions, and then the very next play is scored a touchdown. Usually teams don't bounce back from that. And Nick understood how important that moment was, but they were battle tested and they fought through it. And because of that incident and how they addressed it on the sideline, I believe that brought them closer together, because now if you're Tariq Woolen, you understand I cannot allow my emotions to get the best of me to put our team in harm's way. I loved it. You don't usually see rookies doing that, but that's just the maturation process that we watch with Nick and how he handles himself on and off the football field.
I agree with you. I thought it was a great moment. It was a great moment to see as well, and a real mark of the man. Speaking of the man, we heard Sam Darnold today as well, and look, a lot of it has been made of his trials and tribulations early on in the league, his early struggles and bouncing from team to team. I could not help but be absolutely impressed by not just the player but the man in the way he handled his questions. He was cool, calm, collected. He showed wisdom beyond his years. I know he's 8 years in the league, but he looked like a seasoned vet and he sounded like a seasoned vet. He was so complimentary of everyone around him. He didn't really want to get into he wasn't trying to make it about himself. It was all about the team, all about the focus. We talked about his relationship with Cooper Kupp and driving standards and having a race to the facility every morning, setting standards. How impressed have you been with him this year, and how happy are you for the likes of a guy like that to go full circle and to get his due rewards?
I've been very impressed with Sam, not just this year, but going back to last year, how he revitalized his career to a level where he was able to be paid financially in a really, really good way from Seattle. And now he's earning every dollar he's received. And there isn't any buyer's remorse with that investment. And also, too, he's been playing some of his best football the last 3 weeks, dating back to week 18. They've been protecting the football better than any team in the National Football League. The last 3 games going back to week 18, the 2 playoff games, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
The 3 teams they played against, I think they combined for around 5 or 6 interceptions. That's winning football. So for Sam, that has to be the common theme for him, not putting the ball in harm's way. Because as you've seen watching playoff games and, of course, past Super Bowls, the teams that have protected the football the best have won ball games.
Yeah, you mentioned that. We've talked about that a lot this week as well, protecting the football, not putting it in harm's way. Yeah. At the same time, your star down the field is Jackson Smith-Njigba, one of the most explosive receivers in the league this year. You want to protect the ball. You want to play a clean game and keep the ball out of harm's way. But at the same time, you want to get that guy involved in the game. And we saw 2 very contrasting performances from the offense. One very protected when they went out against the 49ers. They did exactly what they had to do. Mm-hmm. Sam Darnold was happy to barely even be a part of the win. You know what I mean? It was a conservative game. His stats didn't jump off the page. And then they came alive against the Rams and played the type of game that I'm sure every quarterback, every receiver loves to play. I don't think it's going to be important for Sam Darnold how they win the game. But you'd imagine Mike Vrabel is going to have a plan to force Sam Darnold to want to go deep with the ball. How do they plan for that?
I mean, if you're the Patriots, you got to understand and know where number 11 is, JSN. The way they move him around and his versatility makes their offense very, very good. If you just ask the Rams, not paying attention to where JSN was led to a big-time red zone touchdown for him when they motioned him and moved him into the backfield against Porter's coverage. So it's like, where is Levin, especially in passing downs? And then you got to identify where he is and make sure you be as physical as possible with him. I understand we hope to see quality matches between Christian Gonzalez and JSN, but the versatility, you don't know if we'll see those one-on-one matchups. But Carlton Davis has played really good football also opposite of Gonzo. So these are 2 of the best corners the Seattle Seahawks will face this season. And this will be their toughest test this season based on how well those guys have played for the Pats. So it's great on great.
Yeah.
That's why this game is always a pleasure to watch, because you're watching great on great.
And on the other side, a lot has been made of the strength of schedule that the Patriots have faced, the opponents that they faced, and they've almost received criticism because they didn't have a hard enough run of it. That kind of changed through the playoffs because they've overcome 2 of the league's best defenses, and arguably the Seahawks will lay claim to that title as well. what do you see as the keys to success for Mike Vrabel and the Patriots and Josh McDaniels, essentially, who's going to be scheming up to go against this defense?
They got to protect Drake May. Drake May's been sacked 15 times.
Yeah.
But they've been able to weather the storm and win because they played against offenses that had deficiencies. You look at the Chargers. They were on their third or fourth tackle duo or something like that where Justin Herbert wasn't protected. You look at the Houston Texans. C.J. Stroud was struggling going into that game against the Patriots, and he struggled again.
Yeah.
You look at the Denver Broncos championship game. He played against Jarrett Stidham, right? So every offense they faced off against had deficiencies where those issues and not protecting Drake May came back to haunt them. In this game, there's no deficiencies with the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing really, really good football. And if your team offensively is not protecting your quarterback and you don't score points, Seattle will exploit those mishaps. Think about this. The New England Patriots averaged 28 points in regular season play. In the playoffs, they only averaged 15. A significant drop-off. But they won because of deficiencies from the offense they played against.
Yeah.
You're not playing against the backup quarterback for Seattle.
And we've talked about Mike Vrabel maybe taking the good from what he's learned from Bill Belichick and maybe throwing out some of the bad. Situational football is one thing that he has carried on in that, in that revitalization of the Patriot way, so to speak. How much does that experience, Mike Vrabel's experience as a player, Josh McDaniels' experience as an OC, how much does that play into their chances this week?
It's massive. This will be Josh McDaniels' 10th Super Bowl that he's coached.
Yeah.
This man coached in 10 Super Bowls. That's almost a full season, right?
Yeah.
So he's been here before. He's able to express the do's and don'ts, the week of, the regiment. So just his preparation, I think, will help the New England Patriots. And Vrabel was here as a player. I think that should help. Then you look at Milton Williams. He just was there last year with Philly. So now he has that experience that he can share with the team right now and how to handle this business moving forward. So I think that plays a part. At the end of the day, you still got to play the football game, but just the week of, like you said, the layoff,
the
extracurricular activities, the media night, so many different media obligations. Sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, and you have to worry about the hotel accommodations for your family and your friends and the ticket requests. You have guys a part of the Patriots team that has been here multiple times, starting off with Josh McDaniels with his 10th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So there's not an individual on the Seahawks that has that type of Super Bowl experience like a Josh McDaniels.
And is it going to be enough? I know you got to get on. So thanks so much for your time, Brian. But one word, who gets it done this weekend?
I got to take the Patriots. That was my initial prediction when the playoffs were set. I had this same Super Bowl matchup, by the way, and I predicted the Patriots to win. So I got to stay true to my first prediction.
Brian, enjoy the week. Thanks so much for your time. Bryant McFadden.